Mike, I don't know if there's anything markedly different in terms of what you're calling the last 3 weeks, but what stands out to you about what your group has been able to do and why it's been as effective as it has?
I think guys right now are playing very, very fast, refusing to stay blocked, getting population to the football all the time. And I guess there's a really good understanding, I think, exactly what we're trying to do. So there's very little thinking going on the field. The physicality's really increased. There are times where you could press pause on the film and say, I think probably the offense has what they want, and then the physicality changes that math. Our defensive tackles played phenomenally this past week to stop the interior run. Some of those things, it's about the execution and the speed of play right now.
Mike, you touched on the defensive line, the defensive tackles. Can you speak to what maybe specifically they're doing better that's really helping this unit?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with playing square and using your hands. I think when we're not playing as well and when we're maybe getting washed a little bit, our shoulders get turned, we're ripping a little bit more than using our hands. But you can also see the mindset of resetting the line of scrimmage. Right? You can see when they're challenging themselves to be the more physical unit or the most physical unit, you can see the mindset of trying to change the line of scrimmage. And now all of a sudden, run plays are bouncing or tailbacks are hitting the back end of their own offensive linemen, things like that. So square is strong, hands, but just the mindset of, hey, I know Northwestern wants to play physical. We need to bring it to another level where they second guess, do they really want to play that physical?
Mike, since the USC game, you guys have had different coaches next to you, like wearing different colors. Is just logistically, is that because of signals, or is it easier for guys to see them on the side, from the field to the sideline? Like, what's the reasoning behind just those different colors of coaches are wearing?
Yeah, we are changing our signalers often right now. We're using multiple live signalers and to be able to have our guys have their eyes on the right person, we thought that helped. And there were some guys that actually asked. It's like, hey, we got to see these guys a little bit better. But I mean, it's not like all of a sudden people aren't trying to steal signals anymore because of last year. People are still stealing signals left and right. So we're having to up our game in terms of the multiple signals for the same call and constantly changing among multiple live signalers.
Mike, we've seen Daryl Peterson play a lot of different roles here, and it seems like the last maybe month or so he's playing some of his best football. What stood out to you about how he's played in the last month?
I think he's embracing his strengths and he's playing a real physical brand of ball. I think that sometimes there's a tendency, especially at those edge positions, to just want to be a playmaker, and you start to widen out a little bit. You start to jump around blocks a little bit. You try to get a little bit cute. And that's not necessarily specifically Daryl Peterson. That's just that position, and I think he's really embraced his strengths. And you can watch him ragdolling some tight ends here the past couple weeks and really doing a phenomenal job. And with that, your confidence grows, and you just keep playing better and better and better.
Mike, just looking at the Penn State offense and just what they've been able to do this year with their first-year coordinator that came from Kansas, just what stands out on film early and trying to defend all the different types of looks that they're trying to throw at you?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you said all the different type of looks they're trying to throw at you. There's no doubt part of their plan is to give enough exotic, crazy looks to get guys' heads spinning, to get them thinking rather than playing fast. And our strength the last couple of weeks has been how fast we've played and how little we've thought, So we're going to have to make sure, we have to be able to adjust all those different formations. We can't let it slow us down. And that's the challenge. They're certainly trying to cause confusion on the defense.
With Sebastian's played, been getting more snaps these last 2-3 weeks or so. What's kind of Coach Fickle kind of talks about the guys at that position, bringing a little something different to the table. What is unique about him in that group that that you like, and maybe it's kind of helped him get more playing time?
Yeah, the outside backer positions, we have some very unique and different players that can do specific roles really, really well. Sebastian is very twitchy. He's very fast. His change of direction can be phenomenal, and it's a complete change-up for a guy blocking on the edge than it might be, if a Leon Lowry's right there or Daryl Peterson or whatever the case is. It's almost – he's a big kid, don't get me wrong, but it's almost like, hey, you have your 250-pound bruising tailback and you got your 180-pound scat back. And we have a little bit of that, right hand, left hand going with those types of guys. But Sebastian is getting his get off is phenomenal. It is very hard for offensive tackles to get their hands on him, and he's always been an effort guy that doesn't stop. So proud of him, happy for him too.
Mike, looking at, I looked and there's about 4 first-year freshmen that have already kind of burned their red shirt. Dylan Johnson's one of them, but just when it comes to someone like the conversations that you have, like how is it right now, at least currently in the state of college football, where going through this red shirt and having the 4 games, regular season games to play, what are the conversations that you have with players or with parents during this time, especially like with Dylan, where I know in the summer you had said maybe we didn't need him, but then that was before James Thompson got hurt.
Dylan had a great game this past weekend. I'll start out with that. I mean, he is not looking like a freshman right now. And quite honestly, interior defensive line and offensive line are 2 positions where sometimes it's really difficult for freshmen. They look like freshmen. He doesn't. He's a man out there, and was really impressed with the way he played this past weekend. So as a result, his reps will continue to grow. I don't think you question it all with Dylan Johnson. You're going to look at it at the end and be like, oh, man, he played a lot of really good ball, and that's really great for his development and for him in the long run. Obviously, when you do have discussions, you don't want to use a guy's 5 games for 5 plays, right? You just have to make sure that there's a plan of how you're going to use them, and everybody has to feel good about that. And you have to understand, like, things change, but you have to discuss, this is the plan, this is how much we foresee being able to use you, and we have a great group of people that, as long as we communicate, I think all's good.
Mike, since that USC game, your defense has done a really good job limiting big pass plays, especially down the sideline. Was there any adjustment you guys had to make, or was that just playing a little bit better up front, maybe that got more pressure?
Pass defense is an 11-man job. There's no doubt about it, so pressure was definitely a part of that. We had body on body against USC, and their quarterback and receivers did a great job. They had a great day. It is what it is. But I think that was a challenge for our secondary. And much like the rest of our defense, they embraced that challenge accepted, and they've stepped up their game. And that's really the bottom line.
Coach, when you talk about playing fast, it feels like the middle linebackers have been, a big part of that. I know they're experienced seniors, but have you seen, an additional level of growth for both Jaheim and Jake over the last few weeks?
Yes, I think both guys have improved over the last couple of weeks. And that's not easy to do when you're a senior, right? Usually your improvement flattens out, it levels out a little bit. So it's been great to see them continuing to become better football players. But it also helps them that Christian Allegro and Tackett Curtis can have legitimate roles. I mean, you may or may not realize, but, they're getting in there every 3rd series. So the starters can count on having a little bit of a breather, and it doesn't have to be in the 4th quarter. So that really helps as well. So there's 4 guys in there that you can truly count on in any time, any situation. But it's great to see everybody on the defense continuing to grow. I don't care if you're a freshman or a senior. That's critical, because we have to be playing our best moving forward.
Coach, not exactly about your unit, but of course everybody saw Brady Collins jump into Lake Michigan after the game. How cool was that, and kind of how much juice does he bring to this team?
Brady brings the juice. There's no doubt about it, and he's always looking for new and different ways to do it. I will admit I was probably third, him, maybe one or two other people behind me running out to see him jump in the lake. I think a lot of us forgot about him making that statement, but clearly a lot of the guys didn't forget because they were on him immediately. And the Mad Dash was really fun. The Mad Dash was a great time. But that's one of the things that's special about him is he forces guys to work really, really, really hard, but they also have a great time doing it and love being around him. That's unique.
Any other questions, Zach?
Do you have any idea, I know it's early, on Xavier Lucas and whether he'll potentially be able to be out there with you guys this weekend?
I'm optimistic, but I don't have the answer.